Scalar, a quantity that includes magnitude only. Dot product. Multiplying two vectors by multiplying parallel components. Result is a scalar. A dot equals apcos equals x bx plus a by. Cross product. Multiplying two vectors by multiplying perpendicular components. Result is a vector xb equals absin. Speed. Scalar. Distance divided by time. Velocity. Vector. Speed and direction. Displacement divided by time. Acceleration. Vector. Rate of change of velocity. A equals dv dt. Distance. Scalar. How far something travels. Direction does not matter. Always a positive value. Displacement. Vector. How far something is from its starting position. Change of position. Newton's first law. Law of inertia. An object in motion will remain in motion at constant velocity unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Newton's second law. F equals ma net force equals mass x acceleration. Newton's third law. Action-reaction. For every action force there is an equal and opposite reaction force. Angular velocity. The number of rotations something completes in an amount of time in radian per second. Angular acceleration. The change in rotational velocity in radian per second too. Rotational inertia or moment of inertia. The measure of how hard it is to change an object's rotational motion in kgm2. Torque. A force's ability to cause an object to rotate measured in meganewton. Escape velocity. The velocity required to escape from the pull of an object's gravitational field. Simple harmonic motion occurs where there is a restoring force on an object that is proportional to the displacement from the equilibrium. Period. The time required for a repeating motion to complete one cycle of its motion, usually measured in seconds. Frequency. The number of cycles an object completes in a unit of time measured in hertz. Kinetic energy. Energy of motion measured in joules K equals 1/2 mv2. Spring potential energy. Energy stored in a stretched or compressed spring measured in joules S equals 1/2 kx2. Gravitational potential energy. Energy stored by virtue of an object's position within a gravitational field measured in joules Hooke equals mgh. Work. The product of a force applied over a distance measured in Newton meter or joules. Projectile motion. Motion in which an object or particle is thrown near the Earth's surface and it moves along a curved path under the action of gravity only. Static equilibrium. A condition where there are no net external forces acting upon a particle or rigid body and the body remains at rest or continues at a constant velocity. Normal force. A force that is directed perpendicularly to a surface when two objects are in contact. Frictional force. A force that opposes motion between two surfaces that are in contact. Coefficient of friction. The ratio of the weight of an object being moved along a surface and the force that maintains contact between the object and the surface. Centripetal acceleration. The acceleration of mass moving uniformly in a circle at a constant speed directed radially inward toward the center of the circular path. Centripetal force. The deflecting force directed radially inward toward a given point that causes an object to follow a circular path. Hooke's law. F equals kx. The stress applied to an elastic material is directly proportional to the strain produced. Restoring force. A force that always acts to pull a system back toward equilibrium. Pendulum period. T equals 2/. Spring oscillation. X equals ACOS W equals 2 per ton. The work-energy relationship. Work done is equal to the change in mechanical energy of an object. Mechanical energy. The sum of kinetic and potential energy. Potential energy equals mgh. The stored energy of an object due to position. Power, the ratio of work done to the time needed to complete the work. Pulley, a type of lever that is a wheel with a groove in its rim which is used to change the direction or multiply force exerted by a rope or cable. Simple machine, an elemental device that either alters the direction or magnitude of a force. Linear momentum. An object's mass times its velocity measures the amount of motion in a straight line. Momentum equals P equals mv equals mass velocity. Impulse. Something that changes the momentum of an object. The integral of a force with respect to time. Angular momentum. L equals I equals Rx mv, a measure of the amount of rotation an object has, taking into account its mass, shape and speed. Conservation of angular momentum. The total amount of angular momentum in an isolated system remains constant. Elastic collision. A collision in which colliding objects rebound without the loss of kinetic energy. Inelastic collision. A collision in which objects stick together, some kinetic energy is lost, momentum is conserved. Conservation of momentum. Momentum of a system remains constant when there are no net external forces acting on it. Conservation of kinetic energy. In elastic collisions, kinetic energy is usually conserved, and in inelastic collisions, kinetic energy is lost in the form of heat. Conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It may be transformed from one form into another, but the total amount of energy never changes. Conservation of linear momentum. The total linear motion of an isolated system is constant and has no forces acting on it from the outside. Pi equals Pf or m1v1 plus m2v1 equals m1v1 plus m2v2. Energy transformations, a change from one form of energy to another. Newton's law of universal gravitation states that every object in the universe attracts every other object. Orbital motion. Motion that results from the combination of the object's forward inertia and the downward pull of gravity on the object. Gravitational acceleration. The acceleration of an object due to gravity. Kepler's first law. The orbit of each planet around the Sun is an ellipse with the Sun at one focus. Kepler's second law. A line joining a planet and the Sun sweeps out equal areas in equal intervals of time. Kepler's third law. R3 equals kT2. The square of the orbital period is directly proportional to the cube of the average distance of the planet from the Sun. Archimedes' principle. The buoyant force is equal to the weight of the displaced liquid. If the weight of the liquid displaced is less than the weight of the object will sink. Bernoulli's principle. As the speed of a fluid increases, its pressure decreases. Pascal's principle. A change in pressure at any point in an enclosed fluid will be transmitted equally to all parts of the fluid. Density, mass per unit volume. Pressure, force per unit area. Viscosity, a fluid's resistance to flow. Kinematics don't need A, D equals 1/2 T. Kinematics don't need V, D equals V0 T plus 1/2 AT2. Kinematics don't need T, V2 equals V2 plus 2 and. Kinematics don't need D, V equals V0 plus at. Displacement, x equals x2 x1. Average velocity, v equals xt or displacement divided by time. Average speed equals distance/time. Instantaneous velocity, v equals dx dt. Centripetal acceleration, A equals v2 per rankon A equals r2. Newton's second law, F equals ma. Weight, Fg equals mg. Static friction, F micron n. Kinetic friction, F equals micron n. Work, W equals Ft cos. Force, F equals do doctor. Gravitational potential energy, Hooke equals mgh. Kinetic energy, K equals 1/2 mv2. Spring potential energy, S equals 1/2 kx2. Power, P equals dW dt, P equals Wt. Force of gravity, Fg equals /R2. Power, P equals Fv. Momentum, P equals mv. Impulse, J equals mv equals P equals Ft equals Ftt. Area under Ft graph. Tangential displacement, D equals R. Tangential velocity, V equals R. Tangential acceleration, A equals R. Inertia of a particle, I equals mr2. Inertia of a hoop, I equals mr2. Inertia of a disk or cylinder, I equals 1/2 mr2. Inertia of a solid sphere, I equals 2/5 mr2. Inertia of a rod, I equals 1/12 milliliter 2. Inertia of a rod, I equals 1/3 milliliter 2. Parallel axis theorem, I equals ICM plus MH2. Angular momentum, L equals I. Angular momentum, L equals RmV sin or L equals Rxp. Torque, equals Rxf equals Rf sin equals I alpha. Simple harmonic motion, X equals A cos. Simple harmonic motion, V equals A sin. Simple harmonic motion, A equals A2 cos. SHM maximum velocity, V equals A. SHM maximum acceleration, A equals A2. Angular frequency equals 2f. Period. T equals 2/. Period of a simple pendulum, T equals 2. Period of a mass spring system, T equals 2. Period of a physical pendulum, T equals 2. Angular frequency of a mass spring system, equals. Angular frequency of a simple pendulum, equals. Frequency, F equals 1 per ton, F equals /2. Escape velocity, V equals. Gravitational potential energy, Hooke equals /R. Captain Kepler's third law, T2 per Rankine 3 equals 42 per gram. Electric charge, a fundamental property of matter that can be either positive or negative. Induced charge, static charge caused by the presence of an already charged object. Coulomb's law, inverse square law. Electric force equals F equals K/R2 equals 1/R. Electrostatic force, force between electrically charged objects. Electric field, force that a source charge would exert on a positive test charge Q0 within its proximity divided by that test charge E equals FQ0. Electric flux, product of the surface area and the component of the electric field perpendicular to the surface equals EA. Electric potential, work needed to move test charge in an electric field. It is the work done per unit charge Q to bring that charge from infinity to point P. Units are joule per coulomb. Electric potential energy, energy a charge has due to its location in an electric field. U equals KQ1 Q2 per Rankine or U equals EQD. Potential difference, work per unit charge required to move a charge between the points. V equals work charge. Gauss's law, the electric flux through a closed surface depends upon the charge enclosed in that surface equals Q/0. Conductor, allows the flow of electrons. Metal such as copper is said to be a good one. Insulator, don't allow electricity to flow through it easily. Non-metallic solids are said to be good examples. Semiconductor, elements that conduct an electric current under certain conditions. Superconductor, a material that has almost zero resistance when it is cooled to low temperatures. Electric current, the continuous flow of electric charges through a material. Resistance, a material's opposition to the flow of electric current. Resistivity, intrinsic property of a conductor denoted by use to measure its resistance in the equation R equals LAL equals length of the conductor, I equals cross-sectional area. Ohm's law, V equals IR. The direct current flowing in an electric circuit is directly proportional to the voltage applied to the circuit. Energy, capacity to do work, power x time. Joules Law. Rate of heat production is directly proportional to the resistance of the circuit and to the square of the current. H equals I2 RT equals V at H heat, I current, V voltage, T time. Power, ratio of the work done to the time needed to do the work. Capacitance, measure of a capacitor's ability to store charge calculated by the ratio of the magnitude of charge on one plate to the voltage across the two plates, expressed in SI units, farads. Inductance, property of a conductor in which a change on the current flowing though it creates an EMF in the conductor. Capacitor, an electrical device used to store electrical charge when in parallel combines like resistors in series and when in series combines like resistors in parallel. Inductor, a coil which stores energy in the magnetic field, combines like resistors in when in parallel and when in series. Direct current, electric current that is moving through an electrical circuit in one direction only. Alternating current, an electric current that changes its magnitude and direction according to a regular frequency. Kirchhoff's current law, the current that goes into a branch is equal to the current that comes out of a branch. Kirchhoff's voltage law, the total of all voltage drops must add up to the voltage that is supplied in the battery. Ammeter, a device used to measure current by placing it in series with the circuit. Voltmeter, a device that measures potential differences in volts and is placed in parallel across a part of the circuit. Battery, a device used to convert chemical energy into electric energy, a group of voltaic cells connected together in a series or parallel connection. Photocell, a device that converts light energy into electrical energy. Generator, a device used to convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. Electromotive force, energy gained by an electron when it is accelerated through a potential difference of 1 volt given by QV, where Q is 1.6 x 10 to 19 C and V is 1 volt. Magnetic field, a region surrounding a magnet in which ferrous materials or charged particles experience a force. Magnetic flux, the lines of force surrounding a permanent magnet or a moving charged particle. Lodestones, naturally occurring rocks that can attract metal objects, can be used to magnetize metal objects. Metal permeability, the ability of a metal to be magnetized. Substances such as iron, cobalt, and nickel have among the highest. Right-hand rule. The thumb is pointed in the direction of the current, your fingers in the direction of the magnetic field, your open palm is the direction of the force. Bar magnet, a magnet in the form of a bar with magnetic poles at each end. Permanent magnet, a magnet made of material that keeps its magnetism. Electromagnet, made from a coil of wire that acts as a magnet when an electric current passes through it but stops being a magnet when the current stops. Transformer, a device that increases or decreases the voltage of alternating current. Motor, uses magnets to convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. Biot-Savart law, relates a magnetic field to the magnitude, direction, length, and proximity of the electric current. Decibel equals /4R2, where R is the unit vector pointing in the direction of R. Ampere's law. For any closed-loop path, the sum of the length elements times the magnetic field in the direction of the length element is equal to the permeability times the electric current enclosed in the loop. BL equals micron 0 I. Lenz's law. The induced magnetic field inside any loop of wire always acts to keep the magnetic flux in the loop constant. Faraday's law of induction. The voltage induced in a coil is directly proportional to the rate of change of the magnetic field through the coil, V equals N/T. Motional EMF. The EMF produced across a conductor due to its motion through a magnetic field. Period. The time it takes for a complete oscillation. Frequency. The number of oscillations per second is the inverse of the period. Transverse wave, where the particles oscillate perpendicular to the movement of energy. Phase, happens when particles are doing the same thing at the same time. Wavelength, distance between two particles that are in phase. Amplitude, the maximum displacement of the particle's equilibrium. Refraction, bending of a wave due to change in medium. Dispersion, when light of different wavelengths is refracted by different amounts, it results in this separation of the spectrum. Total internal reflection, when no refraction occurs. Principle of superposition. When two waves meet, the displacement of the resulting waveform is equal to the vector sum of the two meeting waveforms. Diffraction, bending of a wave around through an obstacle. Simple harmonic motion occurs when a particle is displaced from its equilibrium position and the acceleration it experiences is proportional and opposite to its displacement. Damping. A resistant force that is always opposite the direction of oscillation. The wave does work against the force and therefore loses energy. The amplitude decreases over time. Underdamped. Decreases but still oscillates faster further than normal. Overdamped. Takes a lot of time to return motion to normal. Critically damped. Amplitude decreased rapidly. Longitudinal wave. A wave in which energy transfers parallel to the oscillation of molecules. Rarefaction, when the molecules of a longitudinal wave are separated apart. Compression, when longitudinal wave molecules are close together. Resonance, when forced vibration frequency matches the natural frequency. Wave propagation. The fact that one single coil on a slinky does not factor pushing each coil in front of it. Constructive interference. Amplitude increases. Destructive interference. Amplitude decreases. Going from a medium with a big N to a small n, the angle becomes bigger of smaller, bigger. Polarization. Production of light in a single plane of oscillation. Light diffraction, when light bends around a barrier. Malus law. I equals I0 x cos 2 where I is light intensity. Doppler shift, when object is moving away. Red shift when object is moving towards. Blue shift. Law of reflection, angle of incident equals angle of reflection. Newton said, light is tiny particles. Higgins said, light is a wave. Luminous source, it produces its own light. Illuminated source, light reflects off of it. Poemer and Michelson talked about the speed of light. Plane mirrors produce blank images, virtual. Characteristics of objects in plane mirrors. 1 objects are equidistant, 2 objects are inverted, 3 objects have same height width. Characteristics of a real image. 1. Inverted, 2. Reflected rays converge, 3. Can put it on a movie screen. Characteristics of a convex mirror. 1. Smaller, 2. Virtual, 3. Upright, 4. Behind mirror. Spherical aberration. Since mirrors aren't exact, rays won't go directly through the focal point and the image appears blurry. Snell's law. Nicini equals NRSI NR where N is the index of refraction of the two objects, I equals incidence, R equals reflection. Chromatic aberration. When light rays from a convex lens do not meet exactly at the focal point. Magnifying lens, convex lens. Characteristics of a convex image. 1. Provides a wider field of vision. 2. Things on edges appear far away. 3. All distances are distorted. Mirror equation. Equals plus F equals focal length di equals distance to image d0 equals distance to object. Converging lens, convex lens. Diverging lens, concave lens. If an object is in front of a convex mirror at the same distance from it as its radius of curvature, then it will be smaller. Light traveling at an angle from a less dense into a denser medium is refracted toward the normal. When light travels from a thicker wavelength to a thinner wavelength, the light bends away from the normal. When going from a more dense medium to a less dense medium, the angle of refraction is greater than the angle of incidence. In the double-slit experiment, if separation between slits decreases, then distances between fringes increases. Lenses used for nearsightedness, diverging lens. Magnifying lens, converging lens. What is the kinetic energy during the oscillation when the elastic force is at its maximum? 0 at the maximum equal to the potential energy 10 times higher. Correct answer 0. Explanation. Correct answer 0. When the elastic force is maximal, the body is far away from a position of stable equilibrium. Potential energy has the highest value and the kinetic energy is 0 because the body's speed is 0 in that position. Inertia of an object signifies the tendency of any matter to resist what kind of change? The center of gravity, velocity, weight, mass. Explanation. Correct answer velocity. The definition of inertia states that it is that tendency of any matter which resists changes in its velocity. What remains constant throughout its journey if a comet is revolving around the Sun in a highly elliptical orbit? Kinetic energy, potential energy, gravitational pull, angular momentum. Correct answer. Angular momentum. Explanation. The kinetic energy of the comet changes as its speed in the orbit keeps changing. The potential energy and gravitational pull changes because the distance of the comet from the Sun keeps changing. Only the angular momentum remains constant. The photoelectric threshold for a certain metal surface is 330 angstroms. What is the maximum kinetic energy of the photoelectron released by radiation of wavelength 1100 angstroms? 1 F 2 F 7.5 F. No electron is emitted. Why does a balloon filled with helium stop rising after it has reached a particular altitude? The helium condenses and forms a liquid. The solar radiation changes the structure of helium. The density of air reduces. The density of air increases and the balloon bursts. A thin lens of optical power measuring 2.5 diopters has an object placed in front of it at a distance of 20 centimeters. What is the magnification of the object? 242.520. Correct answer 2. Explanation. M equals F / in which F is the focal length and D0 is the distance from the lens to the object. In the example, F equals 1 / 2.5 equals 0.4 m. The object is placed at a distance D0 equals 0.2 m. The magnification therefore is 0.4 / equals 2. What is the square root of a number expressed as 4.9 x 10 17, 49 x 10 16, 7 x 10 8, 7 x 10 4, 49 x 10 18? Explanation. Correct answer 7 x 10 8. Given the number is 4.9 x 10 17 equals x equals 7 x 10 8. Which process does not involve a local increase of entropy? Rusting of an iron plate, salt dissolving in water, diffusion of gas in a room, formation of ice in a refrigerator. If a ball dropped from a height h equals 5 m and reached a depth of h equals 15 m, what will be the deceleration caused by the water? 1.333 grams 1 gram 0 gram 0.333 grams. Explanation. Correct answer 1.333 grams to water equals g. When a particle moves in a closed loop, what is the name of the force that moves along the path and when multiplied by the distance traveled by the particle always equals 0? Circular force, inertial force, non-conservative force, conservative force. What scientists determine the radiation pressure? Maxwell, Lebedev, Bernoulli, Einstein. Correct answer. Lebedev. He determined the light pressure on the surface of solid body. The light pressure is small but responsible for the comet's tail when they pass close to Sun. A battery of MV and internal resistance R is connected across a pure resistive device of resistance R. Identify the equation for the maximum power output of the device. R equals R. R equals 2R. R equals 2R. R equals 4R. The current in the circuit is I equals E slash. Therefore the power output of the device is given by P equals I2R equals E2R slash 2. For the given values of E and R, power output P will be maximum if dP doctor equals 0. Differentiating with respect to R, we get dP doctor equals E2 slash 2. Thus, dP doctor equals 0 if R equals R. What is the force that causes oscillations to come from a harmonica? Gravitational force, restitutive force, frictional force, tension forces. Correct answer. Restitutive forces. These forces tend to return the body in the position of stable equilibrium. This property has the force of elasticity of metal spring. What occurs when light waves enter glass? They bend toward the normal of the boundary between the glass and the air. They bend away from the normal of the boundary between the glass and the air. The light waves are not affected. The glass does not change the path of the light waves. Calculate the amount of heat evolved in a glass calorimeter using the following information. Rise in temperature equals 3.5 Kelvin. Specific heat of water equals 4.2 Jg. 1K1 mass of the solution in glass calorimeter M equals 200 grams minus 2.94 kilojoules. 2.94 kilojoules. 29.4 kilojoules minus 29.4 kilojoules. Explanation. Correct answer. Minus 2.94 kilojoules. Q equals mXSXT. Q equals 200 x 4.2 x 3.5. Q equals 2.94 kilojoules because heat is evolved, so Q equals minus 2.94 kilojoules. A lamp is at a height of 4 m from a table. If the height of the lamp is increased to 5 m, what would be the decrease of the illumination on the table? 25%, 36%, 64%, 72%. Explanation. Here, E1 equals I slash 42, E2 equals I slash 52, E2 slash E1 equals 16 slash 25, slash E1 equals slash 25 equals minus 9/25 equals minus 0.36 equals minus 36%. The negative sign denotes a decrease in illuminance. Monochromatic light is refracted from air into glass of refractive index. What is the ratio of the wavelengths of the incident and refracted waves? 1:1:1, 1:1. Explanation. Va equals Na and Vg equals Ng. Therefore, R per gram equals Va Vg. But Va Vg equals. Therefore, R slash G equals. Hence, the ratio of the wavelengths of the incident and refracted waves is 1. The electrostatic force between two charges placed in a vacuum is, if the charges are placed at the same distance apart in a medium of dielectric constant, what will be the force between them? Fk if Fk K2F. Correct answer. Fk. Explanation. The Coulomb's law for forces between two charges is F equals Q1 Q2 per rank on 2. Here, 0 is being replaced by a medium with dielectric constant K0 has to be substituted by K0. The electrostatic force therefore becomes Fk. What magnetic substance has the orbits and spin axes of electrons in its atoms so oriented that their fields cancel each other out? Paramagnetic substance type, ferromagnetic substance type, diamagnetic substance type, none of the above. Correct answer. Diamagnetic substance type. The orbits and spin axes of electron in an atom are so oriented that their field cancel each other are the magnetic substances of diamagnetic type. For a bomb calorimeter calculation, which expression is correct? Q equals mXSXT. Q equals SXT. Q equals S slash T. Q equals MXT. Correct answer. Q equals SXT. For bomb calorimeter, the amount of heat Q evolved or absorbed can be calculated by the following formula. Q equals SXT. T is the change of temperature on thermometer. S is the specific heat of reaction mixture. What occurs when a charged particle moves perpendicular to a uniform magnetic field? Its energy and momentum both change. Its energy changes but its momentum remains unchanged. Its momentum changes but its energy remains unchanged. Its momentum and energy remain the same. What is the logarithmic law that establishes the level scale for volume? Malice's law, Joules law, Weber-Fechner's law, thermodynamics law. Explanation. Correct answer. Weber-Fechner's law. The subjective volume cannot be measured quantitatively with accuracy, but it is possible to make evaluations based on the intensity using this law. Humans feel the gradation of volume as logarithm of sound intensity. What does this reaction describe? Plus Pyn plus E plus E plus decay. Decay alpha, decay gamma, decay. What has the same dimensions as Planck's constant? Force, distance, moment of force, moment of momentum, momentum, distance. Explanation. Correct answer. Moment of momentum, Planck's constant equals moment of momentum x distance equals ml2t minus 1. Only 10% of the energy consumed by a 100-watt filament lamp is converted into light energy. What would be the velocity of an 800 kg car if all the wasted energy in 1 hour was used to push it? 100 km per hour, 25 milliseconds - 102.5 km per hour, 90 km per hour. Explanation. Correct answer. 102.5 km per hour. Energy wasted in 1 hour equals the velocity of 800 kg car with 32400 J energy. Which type of molecular motion contributes to internal energy? Translational, rotational, vibrational, all of the above. Explanation. Correct answer. All of the above. All types of molecular motion contributes to internal energy. Is it possible to apply the ideal gas equation on absolute zero? No, it is not possible. Under some conditions it is possible. Yes, it is possible. Rarely is it possible. Explanation. Correct answer. No, it is not possible. Ideal gas equation is applicable to gases at room temperature and atmospheric pressure. At higher pressure and lower temperatures there are significant deviations. What is the proportional relationship of the resistance of a wire and the radius of its cross-section? R is proportional to R. R is proportional to R2. R is inversely proportional to R. R is inversely proportional to R2. 8 dipoles of magnitude Q charges are placed inside a cube. What will be the total electrical flux through the cube? 8Q/0, 16Q/0, Q/00. Correct answer. 0. Explanation. Since a dipole consists of 2 equal and opposite charges, the net charge of a dipole is 0. Hence, the total electrical flux through the cube is 0. A wire of length carrying a current is bent into a circle. What is the magnitude of the magnetic field at the center of the circle? 0IL0I/2L, 20IL0I/2L, 0L. Why do we not use X-rays and radar? They can damage the target. They are absorbed by the air. Their speed is low. They are not reflected by the target. Explanation. Correct answer. They are not reflected by the target. This is because radar makes use of the reflected electromagnetic waves. What is true of a sine wave? Semi-amplitude and peak amplitude are the same. Semi-amplitude is 3 times the root mean of the square amplitude. Peak and peak-to-peak amplitude are the same. Peak mean square and root mean square amplitude are the same. Explanation. Correct answer. Semi-amplitude and peak amplitude are same in case of a sine wave. Semi-amplitude and peak amplitude are same in value, whereas peak-to-peak amplitude is 3 times root mean square amplitude. If the temperature of the cold reservoir is Tc and the temperature of the hot reservoir is Th, what is the maximum efficiency of an operating heat engine? 1 Tc/Th, 1 Th/Tc, Tc/Th, Tc/Th plus 1. What occurs in planetary motion? The speed along the orbit remains the same. The angular speed remains constant. The total angular momentum remains constant. The radius of the orbit remains constant. Correct answer. The total angular momentum remains constant. Explanation. The orbits of planets are elliptical. The speed of the planet and its angular speed or angular frequency keeps changing. Since no net torque acts on the planet, its angular momentum remains constant. The correct option is C. What can be used to make a low-pass filter? A capacitor and resistor in parallel. A capacitor and resistor in series. 2 capacitors in parallel. What would be the color of the sky as seen from the Earth if there were no atmosphere? Orange, blue, red, black. Two waves with frequencies 100 Hz and 90 Hz are traveling toward an observer. What is the beat frequency of the sound heard by the observer? 190 Hz, 10 Hz, 9000 Hz, 47 Hz. On what does the weight of an object depend? Mass, position, mass of another object, all of above. Explanation. Correct answer. All of above. Weight is the measure of gravitational force between two objects. So, all of the above mentioned factors affect weight of an object according Newton's law of gravitation. A battery of MV and internal resistance R is connected across a pure resistive device of resistance R. What is the maximum power output? E2 per Rankine, E2/2R, E2/3R, E2/4R. What type of laboratory waste can be removed using a landfill? Recycling, incineration, and neutralization. Metallic wastes, nuclear wastes, uranium wastes, chemical wastes. Explanation. Correct answer. Chemical waste. Laboratory chemical wastes can be safely handled with fuel blending, neutralization, landfill, or recycling. A coil is placed in a magnetic field whose resistance is R. The flux linked with the coil is. What is the amount of charge circulated in the coil if the magnetic field suddenly reverses in direction? /2R/R2 per Rankine 0. Explanation. Correct answer. 2 per Rankine. The total charge circulating in a coil is equal to total charge in flux/total resistance. The reversing of magnetic field causes a change of flux by 2. Hence, Q equals 2 per Rankine. The frequency of a spring with a mass of 1 kg is 1 Hz. If the mass is replaced by one of 2 kg, what is the frequency? 2 Hz, 22 Hz, 2 Hz. Correct answer. Hertz. Explanation. Frequency equals 1, thus K equals 2. When M is replaced by 2 kg equals 1/2. The frequency therefore is Hertz. If an RC circuit is connected with a resistance R equals 10 Chi and capacitor C equals 100 F, what will be the value of its time constant? Equals 1 S equals 6 S equals 0 S equals 10 S. Explanation. Correct answer. Equals 1 second. Time constant of this RC circuit will be equals 1 S equals RC equals 10 Chi x 100 Fahrenheit equals 1 S. What is the heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius? 0.001 kilocalories, 0.01 kilocalories, 0.1 kilocalories, 1 kilocalorie. Explanation. Correct answer. 0.001 kilocalories. Heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius is 1 calorie equals 0.001 kilocalories. Explanation. Current in the secondary coil equals 12,000 1/1000 equals 12 A. Power loss equals 12 to the 2 equals 288 W. Why does a plastic rod have a negative charge after being rubbed with a piece of fur? A. The fur gives up protons to the rod. B. The rod gives up electrons to the air. C. The fur gains protons from the rod. D. The rod gains electrons from the fur. Answer. D. The rod gains electrons from the fur. Identify the example of deposition. Melting of water into ice. Formation of frost. Dry ice evaporating. Positive ions depositing on the negative electrode placed in the liquid. It became possible to know the speed of light due to the efforts of Michelson. What clue helps to measure the speed of light? Air gap, deflection, interference, fringes, reflected beams. Explanation. Correct answer. Interference fringes. Interference fringes made Michelson successful to measure the speed of light, which is 186,350 miles per hour. What is the change in heat energy of a chemical reaction at a constant temperature and pressure? Enthalpy changes. Bond energy. Heat of sublimation. Internal energy change. Explanation. Correct answer. Enthalpy changes whenever a change of heat energy takes place at constant temperature and pressure, then it is called enthalpy changes of reaction. A wire of resistance 3.0 is stretched to twice its original length. What will be the resistance of the new wire? 1.5, 3.0, 6.0, 12. What is a streamline? It is the path a particle travels in a moving fluid. It is a pattern that appears on a moving fluid if dye is continuously injected at a single point. It is a curving line tangent to the local velocity in a flow field. Both end. How many base units which can be used to represent all the other physical units does the International System of Units have? 9678. The human ear can only distinguish sounds which are January 10th of a second apart. Sound travels at a speed of 343 meters per second. Approximately at what distance would a reflecting object have to be for a human to be able to detect an echo? 34.3 m, 68.6 m, 17.15 m, 42.4 m. Explanation. The speed of sound is given as 343 meters per second, and for an echo to be audible the sound should take at least January 10th of a second to reflect back and reach the observer at the source. The time taken to travel 34.3 m is 0.1 seconds. Therefore, an echo from an object 34.3/2 equals 17.15 m will be audible. What would be the initial speed with which a ball would be thrown in the air at a 30-degree horizontal projection to reach a distance of 500 meters in 4 seconds? 125 meters per second, 250 meters per second, 144 meters per second. None of the above. Explanation. Correct answer. 144 meters per second, since r equals vt. R is 500 and t is 4 seconds, so VHOR equals 125. But this is only a component. Vi equals VHOR cos 30 equals 144.34, which is option C. When finding the refractive index of a medium with reference to light, what is the reference medium to be used? Flint glass, air at standard temperature and pressure, vacuum, pure silicon. Explanation. The refractive index N of a medium is defined as the ratio of the velocity c of light in a reference medium to the velocity in the medium itself. For light, the reference medium used is vacuum, in which light travels at approximately 3x108 ms. What is the best conductor of electricity? Gold, copper, silver, bronze. Explanation. Correct answer. Silver. Silver is the best conductor medium of electricity, followed by gold and copper in the second and third place respectively, whereas copper is the most commonly used conductor. Identify the chemical that has been banned due to the destruction of the ozone layer. Chlorofluorocarbons, ethanol, methyl hexabromide, methyl alcohol. One of the postulates of the Bohr's model of a hydrogen atom states that only those stationary orbits are allowed for which orbital angular momentum is equal to an integral multiple of what value? Correct answer. H/2. One of the postulates of the Bohr's model of hydrogen atom states that only those stationary orbits are allowed for which orbital angular momentum is equal to an integral multiple of H/2. Angular momentum equals r/mv. Equals n. How is the energy used when you put one foot in front of the other as you walk? Kinetic energy increases, kinetic energy decreases. Both kinetic and potential energy increase. Kinetic energy decreases and potential energy increases. According to the General Conference on Weights and Measures, what is 1 kilogram? The mass that takes 1 in a force to accelerate to 1 meter per second to the mass of 1 mole of iron atoms, the mass of a cubic decimeter of water, and amount of platinum iridium that is taken to have a mass of 1 kilogram. How much power will the motor consume in 2 hours for a 3-phase AC motor with the following specifications? V equals 400, I equals 90, power factor equals 0.8, 50 kWh, 100 kWh, 200 kWh, 9 kWh. Explanation. Correct answer. 100 kWh. P equals 1.73 x V x I x P F x T. P equals 1.73 x 400 x 90 x 0.8 x 2. P equals 100 kW. What should a fuse wire have? High resistivity and a high melting point, low resistivity and a high melting point, high resistivity and a low melting point, low resistivity and a low melting point. How can a voltmeter measure voltages accurately? It must have a very low resistance. It must have a very high resistance. It must have a very high capacitance. It must have a low inductance. To what is the energy of X-rays indirectly proportional? Frequency, wavelength, velocity, speed. Explanation. Correct answer. Wavelength E equals H equals hc/and P equals h/. If the relative humidity is 100% and the room temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, what should the temperature read in a wet bulb thermometer? 15 degrees Celsius, 25 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius, 45 degrees Celsius. Explanation. Correct answer. 25 degrees Celsius. No evaporation occurs when the relative humidity is 100%. Therefore, the temperature in the wet bulb thermometer is not lowered. A tsunami has a wavelength of 100 kilometers and the water depth is 4,000 m. What is the speed of a tsunami in the open ocean? 100 meters per second, 200 meters per second, 2,000 meters per second, 5,000 meters per second. Correct answer. 200 meters per second. Explanation. The tsunami's wavelength is much greater than the ocean depth, so it travels as a shallow water wave. In shallow water, wave speed depends only on the water depth. V equals 200 meters per second, about the speed of a jet plane. What is the force that holds the positive and negative charges of atoms and molecules? Gravitational force, magnetic force, electric force, none of the above. Correct answer. Electric force. Explanation. Correct answer. Electric force. Electric force is defined as the force which holds the positive and negative charges that makes up atoms and molecules. Which radioactive waste classification requires cooling as well as shielding? LLW, ILW, HLW. Exempt waste. Explanation. Correct answer. HLW. High-level waste requires shielding as well as cooling due to its sufficient radioactivity, producing heat of more than 2 kilowatts per meter 3. Conductivity of a material can be explained with its resistivity measurement. What is the resistivity range of semiconductors? 10-6 less than 1012 ym, 106 less than 1018 ym, 10-1 less than 102 ym, 10-4 less than 108 ym. Explanation. Correct answer. 10-4 less than 108 ym. Resistivity range of semiconductors is 10-4 less than 108 ym. A train covers half of the distance of its journey at a speed of 20 meters per second and the other half at a speed of 30 meters per second. What is the average speed of the train during the entire journey? 24 meters per second, 25 meters per second, 26 meters per second, 27 meters per second. Explanation. The correct answer is 24 meters per second. Let the total journey be 2x meters. A distance x is covered with a speed of 20 meters per second and the remaining distance with a speed of 30 meters per second. Thus, the total travel time is x/20 plus x/30 equals x/12. Average speed equals total distance. Total time equals 2x/ equals 24 meters per second. The maximum height attained by a projectile and its horizontal range are equal to each other if the projectile is projected at an angle. What is the equation for angle? Equals tan 1 equals tan 1 equals tan 1 equals tan 1. The maximum height of a projectile is V02/2 grams, and the horizontal range is V02/g. For both of them to be equal, V02/2 grams equals V02/g or /2 equals sin 2 equals 2 sin cos or tan equals 4 or equals tan 1. Hence C is the correct choice. Tan 1 equals 1.3 radians equals 76.0 above the horizontal. This is a short steep flight. To discover cathode rays, investigation was performed by Sir Joseph Thomson. What was his assumption concerning cathode ray particles? They are negatively charged. They are positively charged. They have a zero charge. They have a neutral charge. Calculate the amount of heat evolved in a bomb calorimeter using the following information. Rise in temperature equals 3.87 Kelvin. Specific heat equals 86.2 Jg. 1K 1Q equals 333.59 kilojoules. Q equals minus 333.59 kilojoules. Q equals 33.359 kilojoules. Q equals minus 33.359 kilojoules. Explanation. Correct answer. Q equals minus 333.59 kilojoules. Q equals SXT as rise in temperature equals 3.87 Kelvin. Specific heat equals 86.2 Jg. 1K1 by putting the values Q equals SXT. Q equals 86.2 x 3.87. Q equals 333.59 kilojoules as heat is evolved, so Q equals 333.59 kilojoules. Identify the correct relationship between the displacement current JD, the electric field intensity E, and the polarization of the medium P. JD equals 0 E plus P. JD equals E plus 0 P. JD equals 0 ET plus PT. JD equals 0 ET PT. What is the electric constant 0 equal to? 0 C21/1/0 C0. Correct answer. 1/ explanation. The electric constant 0 equal to 1/ in which 0 or the magnetic constant has a defined value 4x107 hm1 and C0 which is the speed of light in vacuum has the defined value 299,792,458 ms1. How do sound waves travel in helium? 2 times faster as compared to air, 3 times faster as compared to air, 2 times slower as compared to air, 3 times slower as compared to air. Explanation. Correct answer. 3 times faster as compared to air in helium. The sound waves travel 3 times faster in comparison with air as mass of helium is lower compared to air. Hence, sound usually travels faster through materials having lower density. A compressed spring with a spring constant K is fixed at one end. It has a mass m that oscillates on a frictionless surface at the other end. What is the frequency of oscillation of the mass? 2. Explanation. The frequency of oscillation of a spring with a spring constant K and a mass m is given by when the arrangement is placed on a frictionless surface. This is irrespective of the initial displacement that the spring is subject to. Who discovered a neutron's antiparticle? Bruce Cork, James Chadwick, William Prout, Erwin Schrödinger. Correct answer. Bruce Cork. Explanation. Correct answer. Bruce Cork. Antineutron is the neutron's antiparticle which Bruce Cork discovered in the year 1956. What is the energy acquired if a particle carrying a charge of 2c falls through a potential difference of 3.0 V? 5678. Explanation. Correct answer. 6Q equals 2CV equals 3 volts. KE equals QXV. KE equals 2x3. KE equals 6. Who established the relationship between the volume of gas and its temperature? Albert Einstein, Amadeo Avogadro, Joseph Louis Gay, Lessig, Antoine Lavoisier. What type of energy is used to start up a motorcycle? Mechanical, chemical, nuclear, solar. Explanation. Correct answer. Chemical. Gasoline's chemical energy turns into heat and then into kinetic energy of motorcycle in motion. Part of this energy is converted into sound. A gun with a mass of 5 kilograms fires a bullet with a mass of 10 to 2 kilograms at a speed of 500 meters per second. What is the ratio of the distance that the gun moves backward while the bullet is in the barrel to the distance moved by the bullet? 0.5 x 10-3 1.0 x 10-3 1.5 x 10-3 2.0 x 10-3. An eye specialist prescribes spectacles with a combination of a convex lens of focal length 40 cm in contact with a concave lens of focal length 25 cm. What is the power of that lens combination? Plus 1.5D minus 1.5D plus 6.67D minus 6.67D. Correct answer. Minus 1.5D. Explanation. The power of the lens combination is P equals P1 plus P2 equals 1 per Fahrenheit 1 plus 1 per Fahrenheit 2 equals 1/0.4 plus 1/ equals minus 1.5 M1 equals minus 1.5D. An eye specialist prescribes spectacles with a combination of a convex lens of focal length 40 cm in contact with a concave lens of focal length 25 cm. What is the power of that lens combination? Plus 1.5D minus 1.5D plus 6.67D minus 6.67D. Explanation. The power of the lens combination is P equals P1 plus P2 equals 1 per Fahrenheit 1 plus 1 per Fahrenheit 2 equals 1/0.4 plus 1/ equals minus 1.5 M1 equals minus 1.5D. A uniform wire of cross-sectional area A and Young's modulus Y is stretched within the elastic limit if S is the stress in the wire. What is the elastic energy density stored in the wire in terms of the given parameters? S/2Y 2Y S/2/2Y S/2/Y. Correct answer. S2/2Y. Explanation. Let the strain be, then Y equals S/ or equals SY. Now, energy density equals 1/2 X stress X strain equals 1/2 XS XS Y equals S2/2Y. Which series does the hydrogen absorption and emission process start and end at the hydrogen's ground state? Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, Rydberg series. Explanation. Correct answer. Waves involve the transport of energy and matter. This statement is not true. Correct statement is this: waves involve the transport of energy without the transport of matter. Which circuit does not show harmonic oscillation of either the charge or voltage? The LC circuit, the RC circuit, the parallel Rlc circuit, the series Rlc circuit. Explanation. An RC circuit does not show harmonic oscillation. A series RLC and parallel Rlc circuit show a change in charge and voltage respectively, and an LC circuit is a simplified Rlc circuit in which resistance is assumed to be zero. A point has a negative charge with mass is in equilibrium under an electrical field in height from the ground. What is the value and direction of this electrical field? E equals mgq to the top, E equals qmg to the top, E equals mgq to the down, E equals qmg to the down. Explanation. Correct answer. E equals mgq to the down. Two forces exist here, mg to down and F equals q will be to the top for equilibrium, so mg equals q, E equals greater than E equals mgq. On the other hand, because the charge of q is negative, direction of E is opposite with F and so is to down. Which waves cannot be polarized? Transverse waves in a string, sound waves in a gas, light waves in air, X-rays. What is the SI unit of electric flux? Newton meter 2 C1 Newton meter C1 Newton meter 2 C Newton meter 2 C2. Explanation. Correct answer. Newton meter 2 C1 E equals H E equals F slash Q and C. So unit of the flux will be Newton meter 2 C1. In an AC's main power supply, the root mean square voltage is 230 V and the frequency is 60 Hz. What is the approximate amplitude of the peak voltage? Assume 2 equals 1.414. Correct answer. 325 V. Explanation. The peak voltage amplitude is equal to 2 VRMS. Here VRMS equals 230 V. Therefore VPEAK equals 2 VRMS equals 1.414 x 233.25 V. The peak voltage amplitude calculation is not dependent on the frequency. Identify the reason for why metals are good conductors of heat. Their surfaces are good reflectors of heat. There is a presence of a large number of free electrons. There is a violent movement of atoms. All of the above answers are correct. Explanation. Correct answer. There is a presence of a large number of free electrons. Presence of large number of free electrons which conduct heat very effectively. It takes approximately 150 years to remove nuclear waste safely. What is a new system that is currently being tested may be able to remove nuclear waste within 30 years? Stop a Mars NISCO HICOS. Explanation. Correct answer. Mars to remove nuclear waste safely and quickly. The Mars system is currently being tested. The series Rlc circuit in the figure is connected to a variable frequency 200 V source. L equals 5 hours, C equals 80 F and R equals 40. What is the RMS potential drop across the resistor at resonance? 100 F V 100 V 200 S V 200 V. Correct answer. 200 V. Explanation. The RMS potential drop across the resistor is Ohms X. R equals 5 X 40 equals 200 V. In vertical motion, a projectile has an acceleration of a equals g. What is the acceleration of a projectile in horizontal motion? X equals 0, x less than 0, x greater than 0, x 0. Explanation. Correct answer. X equals 0 in any projectile motion. Horizontal acceleration satisfies the condition of x equals 0. What is the work done by the engine if a car in its engine is working between 27 degrees Celsius and 127 degrees Celsius and taking up 800 J of heat from the reservoir in one cycle? 400 J, 200 J, 100 J, 300 J. What is the critical angle according to Snell's law? 41.80, 42.80, 450, 430. Explanation. Correct answer. 41.80. Snell's law states QC equals sin1 QC equals sin1 1/1.5 QC equals 41.80. Which law explains pressure dependence on temperature under constant volume? Avogadro's law, Gauss' law, Charles's law, Newton's law. Explanation. Correct answer. Charles's law. According to this law, pressure of constant amount of gas at constant volume increases linear with increasing temperature. This dependence is graphically represented with straight vertical lines named isocars. What is a direct consequence of the diffusion and exchange of gases that are inhaled and exhaled? Pressure of these gases, partial pressure of these gases, volume of these gases, temperature of these gases. Explanation. Correct answer. Partial pressure of these gases. Gases diffuse from area of higher partial pressure to area with lower partial pressure. Oxygen from lungs will diffuse into blood. Carbon dioxide will diffuse from blood to lungs and be exhaled. What is the heat released per minute when a voltage of 10 V is applied across a resistor of 10 kilojoules, 60 kilojoules, 600 J, 100 kilojoules? Explanation. Correct answer. 600 J. The power dissipated by a resistor is 6 equals I2 R equals V2 per Rankine. In this case, power equals 2/10 ohm equals 10 watts equals 10 joule per second. To get the heat dissipated per minute, multiply 10 joule per second x 60 seconds per minute equals 600 joules or 0.6 kilojoules. Resistors in series. RTOTAL equals R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus. Resistors in parallel. 1/RTOTAL equals 1 per Rankine 1 plus 1 per Rankine 2 plus 1 per Rankine 3 plus. Capacitors in series. 1/total equals 1 per carat 1 plus 1 per carat 2 plus 1 per carat 3 plus. Capacitors in parallel. Total equals C1 plus C2 plus C3 plus C4. Capacitance. C equals QV2 08.854 x 1012 fathoms 1 units is farads. Vector. Scalar. A quantity that includes magnitude.